Looks like we're back in business, but I'm gonna check. All right. Looks like we're back in business.
Sweet.
I will. All right. Tom's already in. We're good to go. Sound check. Um, I don't know. I think
For me
here's
or for
me.
the chat?
Oh, well, you just said something. So Tom said he hears me. Hopefully in 2 seconds he'll say he
You guys hear
hears.
me? I guess our chat's gonna be delayed.
Yeah, it's delayed by a second, so we'll wait a second to see if he hears. Dub. All right, I see a W, so I'm
Where did we
guessing
leave
he's
off?
okay.
We're talking about
We were talking about my
we're talking
draft. I
about
talked
and
Colston
then
Loveland, and then I was ready to move on to James Conner, so we'll just cut it
okay.
there and move on to James Conner. We will get back to everything in. Just give myself 2 seconds so I can actually. Yeah, I'll just give myself 5 seconds so I can cut it. All right, we're back after my power surge, um, power outage. My next pick was James Conner. I needed a reliable running back after Bucky Irving. Now I have two reliable running backs. I don't know how long I'm gonna have Connor for though, which stinks. I think maybe I can get 2 years max out of him. But if he has a good start to his fantasy season, someone who's a little desperate to make the playoffs or even has a good team and wants to win in the playoffs, maybe I can flip him. Not like I'm looking for it. I don't mind if Connor ends his career on my team here. There wasn't any. I do now that I'm looking at the draft at least, Vontae Adams, especially since I went old, would have been a good pick there for my wide receiver one here on the Rams. I think him and Matthew Stafford are going to have a great connection this year. But another player that is only a 1 year almost rental for my team. But I wanted to be a little competitive this year. Wanted to win some games. So I don't mind the James Conner pick here. The Scatabo, it was definitely going to be a long, hard decision if Scatabo was still there, just because he's a fun player to watch. I do not want a Giants running back though, and so I wasn't too upset that he was gone there. But
You don't want
it
to
definitely
invest
would
in
have been a
the
conversation.
Dart offense.
Say again?
You don't want to invest in the Jackson Dart offense in the future.
No, not really, not really. According to Jameis Winston, a spiced white boy offense for the future. um, and then my next pick, I had to take a homer pick. I had to go young. I took Kyle Williams from the Pats. A little early, at least for the projection wise. I do hope that he has a role this year, but hopefully he's eventually Drake May's go-to guy down the stretch of his down the next couple years of the season, and becomes a go-to guy I can rely on for for my favorite team. So it was kind of a no-brainer there. I wanted to make sure that he was gone, especially at this point. I didn't have Drake May yet, so wanted to make sure that I had a nice young Pat on my team. Tony Pollard was the same thing as Connor. Even if he has 1 or 2 more years here in Tennessee, a reliable guy that's going to get a bunch of yards or a bunch of carries per game. At least they have a rookie quarterback, so they're going to have to rely on the run a little bit. So I don't hate that pick for myself, of course. Now here comes Michael Penix picked in round 9, going to Thomas. Immediately I texted him, send him a second, send him my ninth pick, so he would have back-to-back picks, and then send him my 14th for Drake May. He accepted. He was ready. He was locked and loaded. He seemed like he was. It seemed like it was part of his plan too, to try to flip Drake May to me. And for a fifth round value, I definitely don't hate it at all. And or I don't. It's funny. I don't know. Caleb Williams went right before. I don't know if this would have been the run on quarterbacks. I don't know how far Drake May would have fallen if he would have fallen to that 6-4 spot that I had James Conner at. Knowing this league, it I wouldn't have been surprised if he got what? Yeah, if he got scooped up. Yeah, just to try to flip him to me. And so now I do have Drake May and Jaden Daniels. I have been saying in the group chat that I'm going to bench Jane Daniels every week. I don't think that is true if I don't find a
I
home
think that
for
is
him.
tanking. I think that would go against our
No,
tanking
no,
rules.
no, no. That'd be going
It's
for
your
the
first round
homer,
pick.
going for the home team. Um, it is, yes, it is my first round pick. It puts me in a tricky situation. But the goal is to have an abundance of assets waiting for me for Jaden Daniels at some point in the future. Whether it's this year,
Are you trying to trade him now, or is it just, like, whenever the right offer
I
comes up?
whenever the price gets right, whenever I see multiple firsts, people need to know this value here.
Multiple firsts?
I think
Okay.
so. I think so. Um, the main the main go getter,
Will say, I will warn you that it's possible his value is the highest right now that it will ever be.
and that's okay with me too, because I've been in. So that's a good point. I've been in talks. Will is another Commanders fan in this group, and he is itching itching to get Jane Daniels from me. His team is very
Need
old.
some youth on that team.
Yeah, he does need some young juice. He's a very old team, so there's I need at least 2 picks from him, especially that 27 pick when his team gets a little real
Yeah,
old.
right.
Yeah. I'm gonna need something good from him. I originally sent I might just take all of his picks. If he wants to send it to me, I'll just take all of his picks. And I would take that and just start Drake May. But he offered me Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce for Jane Daniels and Loveland. I was like, come on now, what are we doing? What what are we doing here? Um, so anywho, that gets taken care of. My next 2 picks go to JJ McCarthy, going to Thomas. So Thomas now he had 2 quarterbacks from the 2024 NFL draft, and now he ended with 2 quarterbacks from the 2024 NFL draft. So pretty funny, pretty interesting. And I mean, there's a world where JJ McCarthy is better than Drake May, so I could be looking like a fool. Um, and then Matt, who already has a quarterback at this point, I believe. No, he doesn't. But he texts me when my next pick comes. Oh, did you lose power?
Oh, no, it's just my light went off because it's plugged into my laptop, and my
Okay.
laptop's so down.
Um, so Matt calls.
Oh, for a second, it's like, "Wait, why is my
I
other
was
light
I was
still on?"
nervous. He is at 10-12 and 11-3, and I'm at 10-4, and he offers me both of those picks for 10-4, and I was like, no brainer. I'm taking that any day of the week. And I got his second. So I got those 2 picks and his second. So Matt doesn't have a first or a second round pick next year already.
He had a
So
vision, though.
he had a vision. He
I
definitely had
think
a
he just
vision.
didn't like the next year's draft class, which I've
He
heard is apparently going to be a weaker draft class. That was my only hesitation about trading for a first round pick. But it's also July.
he doesn't he just doesn't watch college football. That's what he was telling me. He was like, I just don't watch college football. I need to make sure I get people that I already
I
have
don't think
heard
that
of.
matters.
I don't think it matters either. You're gonna see the hype and see the high draft picks because we do it after the rookie draft isn't before the NFL draft. So
Yeah, right. You're not drafting the guys.
yeah,
You're
to the
drafting
team.
them then after they've already been drafted based on their fantasy value.
Yes,
You're not like, is he like putting together scouting reports on these guys?
I I think so. I think he's early scouting. Um,
You drafted RJ Harvey, he's a rookie.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like if you don't know college football, but then you draft rookies in this draft.
Drafted
So
multiple rookies.
yeah, so it's kind of a vision. He just
It
commented
is a vision. We'll
he
see.
he he commented
I
vision
mean,
is
he made a
well and
trade a
alive.
week after the league started.
He did. We'll get to that after we're done my team real quick. I'm going a little long, so that's a good indication. I took Blake Corum. I'm not a big Kyron Williams fan. Second year running back. Gonna know the system. Hopefully plays a little bit more. He was great in college. I like his attitude. And then stole Rashad Bateman from all the Ravens fans coming up next. I kind of wish I stole Marvin Mims from you, but the the Bateman pick, I now have both of the Ravens receivers, hopefully, um, hopefully some of these Ravens fans get thirsty enough they can send me something
I'm
for
sure
him.
that'll never be a topic of conversation on this podcast.
Oh, Bateman's gonna yeah, he better be good now because I've heard all this hype about him from all these Ravens fans that he should be an All Pro if they give him enough targets. So he better play like a goddamn All Pro. Um, so those are my back to back or my Matt picks, and then I went Braylon Allen in case an injury with
I wanted
Bryce.
Braylon Allen.
Yeah,
I was right.
I mean he's like 19. He was like 19 last year. I think he's 20,
Yeah.
21. But yeah, he's still got a full career ahead of him, and they're gonna run the football a lot with Justin Fields. So and Justin Fields, I guess, is gonna run the football a lot. And then I took the first kicker off the board. The only kicker that's gonna get he that nails 60 yarders. Give me an 8 point per game kicker compared to everyone else who has to scramble for kickers. And I knew he would
I
go
thought that was kind of wild.
I knew he would go soon because I've played a redraft league with Jeff Martin, and Jeff has taken Brandon Audrey pretty high. So I was like, I know he's gonna go soon. Now that I'm looking at his age, he's not very young, but man, can
Also,
he nuke it?
kickers like he could just suck next year. You never know with these guys.
But boy, does he
He
nuke
probably
it.
won't. He can nuke it.
The and looking at the board, I didn't think like what am I missing out here? So now it's Trevor Lawrence, a defense win in that round.
I need to have the board pulled up on my end. I don't know
After
how did you get
I went to settings and it says draft results.
Oh, um,
I
I'll
was
find it.
mad.
Keep talking.
I was mad that Jalen Milrow went the pick before. I would have taken
Oh, I
Jalen
was so
Milrow
sad
there.
about that,
I'm a
bro.
big fan of
I was
his.
debating myself like, when do I take him?
Yep.
And I just didn't go early enough.
Yeah, that was a great pick. I
At
was I
draft
was
results.
pretty mad about that. Looking at
This
it,
is
then I
giving
took
me PTSD pulling up this this
yes.
this
Yep.
screen on my phone.
Yep. Looking at that for a weekend straight,
Oh
basically.
gosh. Really, yeah. I was in the car. My dad and I went to a Phillies game, and so we're in the car for like 5, at least 5+ hours, and probably 4 of those hours I'm just staring at this draft board. Like, sorry, Dad, can't
I
talk.
was in the airport flying to Savannah, just like, oh, this is great. I don't got nothing
Oh
to
yeah,
do.
airport. That'd be a good spot to be.
The
When? Oh yeah, Miller went.
My next pick was
Yeah, I took
Donnie
Mims
Mitchell,
before.
second year guy.
Yeah,
Hopefully, if we get Daniel Jones, which some people are expecting this year, I think this guy could get some nukes. Get some nukes down the field. And Daniel Jones doesn't throw it very far anymore.
isn't
But
Donovan
back in his
Mitchell's the
rookie
guy
year, he
with
did.
diabetes, right? Who's like bad at
Yes.
managing it. That's that
Yes.
guy. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I did think about that when I drafted him, but um I like the speed aspect. I have a lot of speedy guys here on this team, built for speed. Um and then should have taken Demario Douglas though. But I didn't want 3 pass receivers because then I also took Booty. I took
Yeah,
Keyshawn
that's a
Booty.
lot.
I took Hollywood Brown. The he was injured last year. They signed him. They thought it was, a pretty important signing. If Xavier Worthy's not working out, then maybe Brown will take his place. I took your running back, Ja'Cory Crossgood Merritt.
Rocky Merritt.
He's not projected a lot of points, but I think if he gets training camp reps and gets some hype, I mean, Brian Robinson was like a fossil for you guys last year.
Yeah, and Eckler is like he's only got a year or two left. So you never know. I 7th round running backs. There were so many of them
Yeah,
this draft. Every time I saw like, so and so ended up slipping to the 7th round, I was like, nope, not taking a chance on that. 6th round is one thing. I was very anti 7th round running back. So I've heard a lot of hype about him, but I know how this goes.
that's
The
how I'm
7th
thinking
round
too. And it's one of those where, I mean, it's the 18th round. Am I really going to be mad if that doesn't work out?
round darts. That's when I took Jonathan Brooks. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you took a free spot. You said, give me another
I
waiver
took a
wire
guy
guy
who
instead.
literally will not play a snap this year. Can I taxi him next year? I guess
Um,
I probably won't want to, depending on the situation. But like, can
I
I
don't think
RI
so.
someone and then taxi? No.
I'm not sure because it has to be
So I
because it's
basically just
two
have an
years.
extra taxi.
Yeah, this year you have an extra taxi pretty much. Um, it is funny seeing guys like Cooper Cup. You took actually you probably picked him up from the waivers. Keenan Allen,
In and
just
out.
guys who just don't have teams but could be productive wide
Cooper Cup.
receivers. No, he's
Cooper
not.
Cup, I think, is having a good year.
Oh, not
He's
Cooper
on the
Cup. Sorry,
Seahawks.
Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper. My bad.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That's who I was thinking of.
Who
When did
did end
Cooper
up getting
Cup
to
go?
Martin Cooper?
Amari Cooper went to Jeff.
Um, looking for blue. Way
Yeah, I'm looking
before
for Cooper
DeAndre
Cup too.
Hopkins. There's Diggs
Oh, he went
for
pretty. He
him,
went earlier than I
probably.
thought. He went in the 11th.
Debo.
He went in the
Oh yeah.
11th.
Oh, he went after Debo. 2 rounds after Debo. That's impressive.
And then I ended off. Finally took a defense in the Rams. Spencer Rattler, if he gets a shot, I want him. I want him on my squad. And then Hunter Henry, who I was like, hell, I can get a tight end one in the last round of the draft, so why not?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
that could
that was
definitely
that
be
was
a
my team.
trade piece in the future too.
Oh yeah,
I think
people
my
get desperate for
biggest
tight ends. People,
my biggest point of curiosity in this league is what the trade deadline market is going to look like for guys like that are because it's going to function like a real trade deadline where you can
yes.
trade future assets. It's not like a redraft league where you can make trades with bad teams, but they're kind of like they don't really care that much.
Hmm.
Um, so like, how much value are you going to be able to squeeze out of a guy like Hunter Henry, who maybe he's tight end 12
Yeah,
throughout the
he could be.
season,
I
but
think. I
there's
wonder what
someone
he
who
was
doesn't have a
last
tight
year.
end higher than 19. So I don't know. Like, is that worth a first round pick? Probably not. Is it worth a second? Maybe.
You never know.
I don't know.
You never know. Yeah, and like what teams,
Uh,
like the teams at the top who know they're at the top at this point are going to be way more willing to give a second round pick or even their first because it's going to
mhm.
be 14 or it's going to be 26 or it's going to be
Yep.
something like that. Um, so it's definitely interesting for guys like that. I didn't have that. I didn't think about that, but that's a good point
That's why I'm going to be rooting hard against Matt every single week of the
because you
season.
because you have his first.
Speaking of Matt, he's in the comments. How are
Oh
you
yeah,
in the NFL and can't manage diabetes? I got that stuff on auto. I think he can. I think he chooses not to because he's lazy, and then he has attitude issues because he's like blood sugar's all out of whack. We did a whole podcast on
we did.
this during
We could have
Instagram.
Matt and Shane, diabetes experts, both of them, come on the pod and talk about Adonai Mitchell.
Okay, so Matt's vision is trading back for picks. That's the vision, right? Based on these comments,
I see it now because he said his trade deadline, he's going to look like he's giving his whole team away.
right?
I think he just
Okay,
does that
well,
anyways. He does that in redraft. He made it to the championship with
that's
no one
great.
from his original roster on the team. Not a single
He's
player.
just addicted to trading.
He is addicted to trading. We set the draft date in May because we're insane, and he traded with Kieran his second round pick in the original draft immediately for fifth and a sixth. Um, back in mid May, like 2 weeks late, make a week later. So it's uh it's gonna get wild. It is gonna get wild.
So
And
out of to look at Matt for a little bit longer, out of
yeah, let's take a
22
look.
picks, he traded away two, three, four, five, six, seven picks out of his 22 were traded to different teams. I traded away two, and they were both to Matt. You traded away three.
Two were Matt.
But, and
Well, four technically, I think. No, I traded Matt traded up, so I got two from Matt and traded two to Thomas. So I'm even Steven in this.
there you go. I was even Steven too because I traded away two picks in this draft, got two in this draft, traded away a second, got a first. I like being even Steven.
Yeah, I like having the even amount of
Good
picks.
feeling. We don't have a trade deficit.
So yeah, let's stay on Matt for a second. Trades a second round pick away. That becomes Jonathan Taylor. He could have had Marvin Harrison, could have had Travion Henderson, which man, I knew he wasn't gonna come back to me, but the fact that he went first pick of the second round, I was like, damn, he's gonna have a good season, isn't he? Um, could add Travis Hunter, AJ Brown, and ends up with Rasheed Rice at 3-3. Apparently he wouldn't have made it past the turn, but maybe it's because of he didn't play almost at all last season, but he tore his ACL. He almost killed somebody and their dog, or maybe he did kill somebody and their dog. I don't even remember. And I don't want any business about that. I just don't want any business about
I was actually excited to take him at the right price. That would not have been the right price for me.
it. No, I thought he was just a little
What
too
was
high.
that? 28, 31st overall?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What else?
Yeah.
I think
I'm
it's.
not
I
gonna
mean,
argue with the vision though.
yeah, he's got a vision. He definitely has a
So
vision, and he does have a good
if
mix
these
of
guys are
guys
all
that could
getting
go win
traded
that.
away, which he says, I get bored, so I trade. Um, like who of these guys are actually gonna get traded? I feel like Waddle and Godwin are probably locks
Yeah, they're as good as gone.
traded.
If Ja
Uh,
if Jameson Williams has 2 good games in week 1 and 2, he's out of here.
that's
He's
right.
gone. It's hard to even see who's on his team because I gotta look through all these picks.
I'm going back to his team now. Cortland Sutton is probably gone.
He
Kyler might
likes
is
Courtland
probably
Sutton.
gone. Does he?
Yeah, I think he traded for him last year in our redraft. Um, I don't know. Anyone who pops off, he's gonna be putting on the trade block.
It's
So, I think I got a good mix of guys who could win this year and grow. I got a couple
you do
flyers.
have a good mix.
I got a couple
Yeah,
flyers
you're
that I can.
you're definitely more set up for this year than my team is. I have outside of like Bijan and McBride, I have all guy and Herbert, I guess. I have all guys that I'm really banking on in 2 to 3 years.
I think they're good. I think they're solid. Like Pearsall might be the wide receiver 1 for the 49ers this
He
year.
might be. He also might be a wide receiver 4.
Yeah, yeah. But they took him in the first round, so they value him.
That's right, the draft capital. That's why
Mhm.
I focused on that as much as I could. That's why I was anti late round running backs.
You have 3 first round wide receivers. Garrett Wilson, Ajigba, Addison, Pearsall.
Hey, Addison,
Addison
wait,
was
that was
first round.
4. And then Beach was second,
Yep.
and Felton and Aya Manor were third, I think.
There you go.
Actually, Felton might have been later. No, he was third.
And he was they were both wise guys, weren't they?
They were, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Felton because he's a Maryland guy.
Yeah, of course, of course. All right. Um, anything else completely shocked? Because I don't know how much people are going to care about this. We did 40 minutes of our fantasy league. I don't know how much people are going to care. I know
Gosh,
people in our
40
league are going to care, but well, 40 minutes with a little bit of internet trouble.
That's fair. Um, yeah, I mean, I didn't really like deep dive on every team before we did this pod.
There wasn't too many
It is
shockers, to
interesting
be
to see
honest.
like no, there really weren't. It is interesting to see like the distribution of who was clearly going to win this year. Like if you
Yeah,
look at you
Will
said
better
Will's
win.
team
Will better win
was
this year.
who else is like I mean Kieran's projected 123 week 1. But his
Damn.
team isn't that old.
No, Kieran's got a good
It's a
squad.
pretty good mix.
That Puka pick's gonna probably look really good I feel like in 2 years.
Yeah, Puka, I would have loved to have Puka. Um, maybe I'll throw some trade offers out.
He likes to trade too. He's
Yeah,
a big fan of trading.
yeah. I know he was pissed at me a couple times for taking his guys. I don't even remember who they were. It
Yes.
wasn't even picks that I thought were like amazing picks either. But I did love getting validation in the chat when you make a pick. It's like, oh, nice
Yep.
pick.
You got a you sent Matt into a spiral by taking it in Jigba. He had to wait.
He texted me. I told him that he gets 3 trade offers, and then he's blocked. He's, and then
Drafted the
like
whole year. Or 4 in
uh
Jigba.
or yeah
Okay,
for him.
okay.
specifically. And then he was asking me if I would trade my pick, and I was like, wait until 2 picks before I wanna see who's on the board still. And he's like, "Okay." And then 10 minutes later, I got a trade for request. I was like, "What happened to which?" I can't just wait.
You're just leaving it in
But
the
we had
inbox just in case.
yeah, right. Let it let
Let
it
it simmer.
simmer.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were texting on the side because we had a bunch of picks where, like, he would take somebody and I would text him and be like, "I was just about to take him," or the opposite. Like, he would text me and he'd be pissed because I took someone that he wanted because we were back to back.
Mhm. The back-to-backs are I mean, because especially with the snake, like, who the 2 people are coming up and coming behind you
Mhm.
are, and it's tough. It is real tough. I think if I'm looking at this, holistically, I think my biggest regret would be not taking Puka Nacua. I think that should have been my play. But he
I
also
don't know what my biggest
have gotten
regret
injured
is.
twice, so or
That is
once,
true.
just really once. But you never know. I mean, one of these other guys I drafted could turn into a Puka Nacua.
I, I'm not a huge Jordan Addison fan, I'll be honest, and I was between him and Pickens just felt like there was too much risk there.
Yeah, he's boomer
Like, I think
bust.
Pickens will be better this year, but, like, 3 years from now, I don't know what I'm getting with Pickens.
Yeah, you don't even know what team he's on after this year.
So, I don't know, but if anyone likes Jordan Addison, send me a message. 'Cause I'm would definitely be open. He's not exciting to me. I think he's a valuable player. He doesn't spike my heart rate at all.
So there was emojis for reactions to picks, and nobody
Oh, I
did
didn't
any
notice.
besides Mark Andrews has a poop and a flame poop next to him. I don't Ethan's probably just mad because he fumbled in the playoff game or messed up the playoff
I'm
game.
I'm sure, yeah.
And then
That
Lucas
is
is a
fun.
Giants fan, so he just put poop. Just if people started pooping on my picks, I would have been pissed. I would have been livid. I'm canceling the league. It's
I mean, that
over.
was happening in the group chat. The Rasheed Rice pick got torn to shreds when it was made.
Yes, it did. It did.
I who was the other oh, Quinn Ewers. Somebody I forget who it was, but somebody was like somebody's getting pressured into picking, and he's like, "Oh, don't worry, I'm locked in," and then took Quinn Ewers. I think it was Ethan.
Yeah,
It's
Ethan
like,
was pissed about
"You are
that.
not
Ethan was
locked in. You
yeah.
just took Quinn Ewers."
Ethan was not a fan of that pick. The last round was great. We had Nick Foles, we had Daniel Jones, which who might start a game, and we had Tavon Austin, um, Taysom Hill, great last round pick. Um, it was funny to see. I was laughing a lot seeing the Packers wide receivers just plummet.
Yes, all get taken in, like, round 19.
Yeah,
It's like, "Oh, Christian Watson's still available. Oh, so is Dontavian Wicks and Romeo Dobbs.
yeah. It's like,
They're all
oh,
there."
all of them. Which again, I mean, in fantasy, what are you supposed to do with them? Like,
Yeah,
you're
I don't
supposed to
know.
hope and pray that
But
everyone gets the
3
ball.
of them get traded away.
Yeah, pretty mu pretty much. Um, alright, well, I think that should cover we're gonna have another reason why we did this, we're gonna try to have as many people in the league as we can on the podcast to discuss their strategies during the draft, discuss stuff that we just kinda went over, talk a little football when it gets closer to that time, and before we move on from football, and I really wanted to start with this, and I'm disappointed that I just jumped right in. Chris, the Commanders have new uniforms.
They do,
Do we
and
like them?
they are spectacular.
Yeah, they're great.
I mean, it's just the Redskins uniforms.
Yeah, with a
They
W.
just don't have the name, and they have a different logo. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I mean there was. I guess it would have been pretty hard to mess up again.
Yeah, all they had to do was just design them exactly like the old ones.
They added the right stripes. They added the pants. It's on the cleats. I think.
The
I
only
think.
thing that I'm upset about is that they're only wearing it 3 times this year. But I would
Yeah,
assume that next year they put out a burgundy and then 2 years from now, it's their full time uniform. I think
So
there's rules in the NFL as far as like how many uniforms you can change. There's like a time limit on it. I don't know exactly how it works, but
so does that
I know you
replace the
can't just
black?
like I think so.
Okay. So the Wario's gone. The
I'm not
Wario
sure.
era
Positive. I hope so. I don't really like that jersey. Although it was the one they wore for the Hail Mary.
is true. It does look weird, the Wario helmets. Not the biggest fan of them.
Um,
Matt wants to explain the
sorry,
vision
my
live
laptop
on the
started
pod.
frozen. Not tonight.
No, yeah, no, yeah.
Why would he?
He'll get
Why
a
would he
shot.
give away the vision?
I think the vision was for this draft. That was the vision.
He's just too excited that he has to talk about it.
Yep. All right. Are you once I guess figure out if they're wearing the black, and then we'll get
Oh yeah.
to biggest NBA. The rest of the NBA offseason is what we're dealing with next.
Do, 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 do. Um, let's see. Love them or hate them. You can start on NBA. I'll figure this out.
All right, yeah. Give us a quick little update. I wanted to highlight starting with the Denver Nuggets, who didn't do much when we first started our free agency slash trades. I guess the free agency didn't really open yet. They got Bruce Brown, they got Tim Hardaway Jr., they got Jonas Valanciunas, and well, they traded for Jonas Valanciunas and they traded for Cam Johnson. They got rid of Dario Saric to the Kings, and they traded Michael Porter Jr. to the Brooklyn Nets. It's a very interesting trade. I think Cam Johnson shoots the three ball as well, especially set up perfectly from Jokic, as well as Michael Porter Jr. can. And he's better defender, better passer, not as much as a one ball type of guy. And the speaking of one ball, the Brooklyn Nets are going to have a bunch of ball handlers, Michael Porter Jr. and Cam Thomas. And Cam Thomas technically is still a free agent right now, or restricted free agent, but it seems like nobody's giving him a big offer, and he's going to end up on the Brooklyn Nets again. It's going to be a circus of who's dribbling this ball and who's taking the most wild threes possibly known to man. And I don't know if anyone on the team will play defense. I honestly don't know. I don't know who will play defense for them. Nick Claxton, I guess, will play. That's their defender of the team, and they trade him away, which hopefully they go to the Celtics. That'd be nice. But if they trade Nick Claxton away, then they're gonna have just no defense and just hoping. I mean, anyways, they're hoping for AJ Bonanza or Cam Boozer or one of the top 5 picks, 3 picks next year in the NBA draft. Just great for the Denver Nuggets. So I think that they're poised they have they have Bruce Brown again, who won the championship with them last time he was
Yep.
there. They have basically their KCP replacement in Tim Hardaway Jr., who will play the same amount of defense and hit the same amount of shots as KCP did on their run. And now they have a reliable defender, team player in Cam Johnson. And as long as Greece doesn't, did you hear about this story? Greece trying to get Jonas Valanciunas.
What happened?
Greece is trying to buy out Jonas Valanciunas' contract with the Denver Nuggets and have him play in Greece in the EuroLeague.
Oh, Greece, like the country Greece.
Yes, like the country Greece. And
I was like, who is Greece?
and the
It was like a
Nuggets,
GM.
the Nuggets are like, "Well, hey, we just traded for you, pal. We're not buying you out. We need you to play minutes after when we bench Jokic because he's a great center to play when Jokic is out, when Jokic is on the bench." And the it's just funny to think about that he was on the Kings, he was on the Wizards, he was on these terrible, terrible teams, and now he wants to get bought out when he could possibly win an NBA championship with the Denver Nuggets. So I think he'll end up playing there, but it is a pretty interesting
Oh, is
story.
he from Greece? Like maybe he just wants to go home.
I'm gonna look it up. Valanciunas doesn't sound like a Greek name, does it?
Really?
I
I
don't know
think so.
European names, man. Um, no, he's Lithuanian. He's
Huh,
Lithuanian. So I don't know what that's all about. But
maybe just wants to be in Europe. I don't know.
yeah, I'm sure
That's
it's
weird.
nice there. They probably play less games. Probably score like
There's a
30
headline that
points.
says the Nuggets are in a standoff with Jonas Valanciunas, and it somehow matters.
It somehow what? Somehow matters.
Somehow matters.
It does matter. He's a reliable backup center that can get them a double double when he can get a
Yep.
double double in 12 minutes for whenever Jokic is out. So it really does. It's very important for them to retain him. Just gonna go through the big things. Really, we um, talked about Kevin Durant, of course. Speaking of the Rockets, though, Cam
Ayton.
Whitmore. Oh, I was gonna say
Oh
Cam
yeah.
Whitmore to the Wizards. The Wizards youth movement continues. They have within the last two drafts, nine first round picks, or three drafts, nine first round picks.
Good. I remember people wanted Whitmore too, though the year
Oh
that they
yeah,
took Bilal.
yeah. I'm a fan of Cam Whitmore. I think that, and he's from DC. There's a picture of him shaking
Mhm.
Gortat's hand on Twitter.
Saw that.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of that trade, and I mean, two second round picks. Who needs them?
Yeah, basically free.
Yeah, honestly, the Indiana Pacers they lose out on Miles Turner, which was the other biggest free agent, I guess. He ends up going to the Bucks. And I guess it's supposed to be for Giannis. Like, it's supposed to be for Giannis.
Who knows?
They
Who
gave him,
knows?
they gave him a lot of money. And if Giannis isn't a fan of him or it doesn't work out, they're going to be screwed. They're going to be very screwed. They had to, oh, speaking of which, they had to cut Dame Lillard because of that. They extended his contract and then waived him.
Yep.
They don't have a point guard really. They're running it back with Kevin Porter Jr. They got Gary Trent Jr. Um, they got Misic. Oh, they waived Beaches. Never mind. Um, and they still got the real issue is they still got Kyle Kuzma on their team. So that's the biggest
Thief
issue.
of joy.
He is the thief of joy, and I guess that like they really just re-signed a bunch of their players that I didn't really think were very good for them, and they could have moved on from. So that was a disappointing offseason for them. I guess Miles Turner it will. I mean, he will add an element to it that will be interesting. He's almost a little bit a better Brook Lopez, but and he
Mhm.
ran Brook Lopez off the floor in the playoffs. But I don't think the center is not a priority when you have you have I was going to say Jonas Valanciunas when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, I know it's definitely a weird move. I mean, I guess it definitely improves their defense, and I guess
And like their
losing
current
Lillard,
day roster.
I guess it helps.
Yeah, like it helps.
But
I guess it helps today, but if there's a lot of money that the second apron's been destroying teams, and
mhm.
they if they want to keep Giannis, they're gonna have to be cutting some money pretty soon. They're gonna have to, I mean, and they have to be good this year is gonna be the real issue.
Yeah,
So
I mean, the Kuzma thing is a big problem.
I mean, we knew that immediately. That was just a dumb. That was like a blessing for the Washington Wizards, an
Yes.
absolute
Oh yeah,
blessing.
definitely. As soon as he
Um.
signed that extension, you knew that that was going to happen.
Oh yeah, he's gonna quit on the team, try to go
It's
to a
not
contender.
rocking out the rebuild. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Um. The New Orleans Pelicans, they doubled down on trading their first round pick for Derek Queen by also getting Kevin Looney, another center. So they have quite the center room, and hopefully, I guess it works out. Um. That's something we can do quickly. Oh, did you see the Chet extension today?
Mhm.
He got 5 years, $250 million. He got 50 million a year for Chet. That's
It's
a lot of
insane.
money. That is an absolute lot of money.
Is that just
And
so that they can keep the core together? Like, so they can manipulate the bird rule or the
it,
bird rights or whatever?
I think so. It
Like,
seems
once
like
all these guys sign extensions, you can just keep them all and stay over the cap.
I think so. It's their second apron's gonna come though eventually because they're gonna have to sign. Jalen Williams is the next one that needs to be re-signed for big extension, and then they have their big three pretty much locked up.
Right.
And I guess they just trust. which I would too. I would trust Presti to just build around the
Mhm.
edges with all their draft picks that they
Oh,
have and all the guys that they've already drafted. So I really I don't hate it. It's probably I mean, I of course I'm gonna trust Presti for everything that he's done, but boy is it a lot of money, and boy could it haunt you if he gets injured again. And
mhm.
I think it was one of
Or
those
if he
things
just
for
doesn't
me.
get any better.
Say again.
I said, or if he just doesn't get much better.
Yeah.
He's not a $50 million player right now.
No, I completely agree. And I'm always in the camp, I think especially now with the new CBA and how everything operates, these guys who sign and it's good for the players, but these guys who sign extensions the second they're eligible, it that's how you get your team in in a bad situation. Because
Yep.
like this talking about my team, they traded for Porzingis, immediately extended him. Now they have to trade him immediately. Drew Holiday, they extended him. Now he makes way too much money. They had to trade him. And if this Chet thing, if he, as you said, he doesn't improve or he gets injured, and they're paying him $50 million for the next 4 years, it's gonna be it's gonna be hairy, and they're gonna have to finagle around the cap.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of between a rock and a hard place, though, because like, what's the alternative? Because if you wait to extend him, then the number goes up, right?
Yes, yes,
And if you don't extend him at all, then you just lose him.
yeah,
So I have
that's
to,
true. I
and you
guess
just want a championship.
that's the
Like
other
even if
thing, the championship
he doesn't
tax.
do it, I'll keep on the championship. So
Yeah, that's true. They're in now. They're officially in a window where the next 5 years it's not gonna matter because they could just say they have a championship.
mhm.
Um,
Until we're 5 years down the line and they've imploded, and then we say they should have won way more,
yeah,
which
they
is
should
what
have been a
we've done with
dynasty.
every team that's won the finals in the last 5 years, probably.
Pretty close to it.
Nuggets, Bucks, Celtics. I guess not the Warriors, but that was a different. Like that was kind of their last one.
Yeah, and it was the start of the Celtics one.
Yeah,
The Lakers got their center in Ayton. You mentioned that earlier. Do you have any riveting thoughts on Ayton?
I just think it's an interesting fit
It
for a
is
guy who
definitely an
seems like
interesting
he
fit
doesn't really like basketball to play with LeBron, who's like on his last leg,
and
and
needs to win a championship.
Luka, who right, who also not to the same level as Aiton, but isn't at LeBron's level in terms of intensity. So interesting roster.
I think it's an interesting roster. I mean, it was the only center left that was
Right.
plausible. And I think what was really telling is that the Lakers internet hype machine couldn't even get hyped behind it. They were just like, what are we gonna do? Like that's we just gotta sign him. It's not like they signed him to a lot of money. The
Yeah.
Blazers paid him $28 million to not play for the Blazers, so that's quite a telling sign. I'm sure he'll start like he'll probably jump out the gates and be like, we'll be like, oh, this Aiden signing, it's really working out, it's really looking good, and then like 3 months into the season, we'll be like, where did Aiden go? What happened to him? But it'll be interesting to see if it does work out. If it does work out, it's a great fit, honestly. But he's not like a lob
Yeah.
catcher. He's not or at least he hasn't been. He's more of like a mid-range jumper. He doesn't get free throws. So it'll be interesting to see if and everyone I feel like always says this to any flawed player that goes to a LeBron team, like, oh, LeBron will fix him. So
Mhm.
maybe LeBron will fix him.
Maybe.
And then I guess the other biggest thing would be the trade that happened pretty recently. Norman Powell going to the Heat, the Utah Jazz getting a couple things, and then John Collins going to the Los Angeles Clippers. I think that it's a great fit for the Clippers. I think the Clippers are expecting Bradley Beal to get taken out and taking Beta Beal, which would be just an old head fianza of Bradley Beal, They might have a lineup of Bradley Beal, Kawhi Leonard, Brooke Lopez, and James Harden. That would be quite something
Wait,
to see.
Beal's gonna go to the Clippers?
I think that's what everyone's rumored to think about, especially after this Norman Powell deal, that he's going to get bought out by the Suns, and then go to the Clippers for nothing. But he does have to get bought out by the Suns first, which is a lot of money to eat if you're the Suns.
Yeah.
But you're also eating it anyways because you don't want Bradley Beal to play on your team.
You want to pay to watch him play, or do you want to pay to know?
Yeah,
That's the
pretty.
question.
That is the
What's
question.
the
Yeah,
lesser of two evils?
yeah. How much is he gonna be a problem in practice if you keep him? That's the $30 million question.
It's more than
Uh,
that, right? Does he? How
if
much does he have left on his deal?
I don't know how buyouts work though. I think he has 52 is his
Okay.
number, but
Okay.
the buyouts,
Guess
it's
it
like they
depends
can
on the different
stretch
deal.
it, they can like waive it, they can like I don't know how it works very much. I do like the John Collins fit though. I think that he'll be a great. He was like wasting away on Utah. Utah stats don't really count
Mhm.
very much, but I do think that he'll play well for them. So I like what they're doing too. I love the Wizards youth movement. They've made a lot of moves to get a bunch of young guys, and I mean that's pretty much all the biggest things that we got. Celtics look like a shambles. They need to make some moves.
Think they'll tank this year. Jalen Brown will have a phantom knee injury. He'll play 12 games.
And then we just get that Adam Silver gives us the kid that grew up as a Celtics fan who's projected to be number one. I'm all in. I'm all in for it. Um, I don't know. I guess they're gonna have Derek White. Their team is Derek White, Jalen Brown, and that's about it. That's all I got.
Richard?
Pritchard. I got Pritchard off the
Is Horford
bench.
coming back?
I don't think so. Apparently he's going to the Warriors or he's mulling retirement. Brad Stevens sounded he was in a press conference yesterday. It sounds like they don't have the money to get him. They did ask him why he traded the two guys that they traded, Porzingis and Holiday, and he just looked up and said the second apron is why.
Yeah.
So that's it's pretty sad to hear that, but what are we gonna do?
More
I
parity in
guess
the league.
it is parity, I guess. But they lost last year. They weren't gonna win the championship even with Tatum healthy. I do think that the super team label on them was a little overblown, especially because before Porzingis came, that nobody liked Porzingis before he came to the Celtics. And then when he left the Celtics, it seems like nobody really cares about him on the Hawks. So
Right.
the super team was only a label for them because how much money they made. They both made
Mhm.
like $30 million a year, and I guess that was the price to pay for a championship. And they also didn't know the CBA was coming until after they
Yeah,
extended
that's
them,
true.
so kind of brutal. But what are you gonna do? I do.
You got a
Speaking,
championship out of it, so
yeah, exactly. We're in that window right now, and especially with the Tatum injury, it's like almost a double window where
yeah.
it's just like, yeah, I mean, man, we suck, but we don't have our best player, and we just won a championship. So
Yep.
they, speaking of Porzingis, I do like what the Atlanta Hawks are doing. I like Nikhil's Alexander Walker. He had a great playoffs, played some great defense, should be great help behind Trey Young in that guard position. And then they have Luke Kennard, who is he's just gonna hit some threes, baby. He's just gonna hit threes. And I think that's another player that will play very well with Trey Young. They also, I mean, like, sorry, I was gonna say they also did something else, but then I read it wrong. But that's it. They have a pretty solid lineup. They're getting back Jalen Johnson, and they're just gonna be lanky guys on that court, and hopefully, and that's exactly the type of team you need around Trey Young, who is not
Oh
lanky
yeah.
and doesn't play defense. So hopefully they have the pieces together, and it's a weak East. I feel like they could make some noise next year.
Yeah. Never know. I feel like we're always still waiting for the Hawks to recapture that Eastern Conference Finals run. Like we've
Yeah,
seen them do it.
yeah. And now it's like I don't know. It's like barely any of the same players, but we still saw Trey Young do
No,
it.
I know. It
It's
was Trey Young and those uniforms.
yep. Yeah, I mean the East is going to be interesting because it's wide open, man. I feel like the Cavs, of course, are going to be there in the regular season. I have no faith in them for some reason in the playoffs. Maybe it's because I've just seen them implode the last 2 years, but I really just don't have any faith in them.
No, either.
And I will say one team I didn't like their moves were the Pistons. I know that they got screwed with Malik Beasley, but why are
Mhm.
you paying Duncan Robinson like $47 million? That's a lot of money for Duncan Robinson.
That is insane that he's worth that much.
And Karis LeVert, like I'm just not a Karis LeVert guy. He's never been on a team that's done anything that has been like or had like he was supposed to have a decent role in Cleveland last year, and then couldn't even carve himself out any meaningful moments in the NBA. So I'm just not a Karis LeVert guy. And yeah, that's it's funny that the Warriors have done nothing. No additions, no resignings,
Mhm.
absolutely nothing. Apparently they're waiting for Horford, and I don't know if Horford is the person that takes them over the hump here. I mean,
Needle
Horford's
fever.
I love Horford, but
Yeah,
dude's like 40 years old. He's on his
yeah.
last legs here. Of course, the Rockets had a great offseason. They also got I guess we didn't talk about Dorian Finney-Smith and we didn't talk about Clint Capella, but
No, we
he,
didn't.
they're just they're just loaded. They're just loaded.
Yep.
With all these teams that like have to cut money, they're just like, nah, we'll just take more
The
people.
opposite.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 years.
yeah, oh yeah. Well, and that's the goal though. Like Kevin Durant's probably not playing
I
after three
guess, yeah,
years, so
that's
like
true.
that's what they're doing here.
Take advantage of the window.
Yeah. I do like they gave Jabari Smith good money. They gave him 25 million a year. That's good money. Considering Chet makes 50, like that's great money.
Dwight Smith didn't win a championship though.
That is true. That is definitely true. Any other teams you want to hit on?
No, I mean I wasn't as dialed into it as you were. I forgot the free agency was even happening.
There wasn't as
I think just
many
because we didn't
massive
big
moves.
name
Yeah.
really on the market.
No, the biggest name was Kevin Durant. It happened game 7 of the
Mhm.
finals. So, I guess I'll shout out the Knicks. They got two bench players that they didn't have last year, and it's kind of all they needed. So I like it. They got Gerbershun Yerbuselli, and then Jordan Clarkson, who I mean he'll be
Yeah,
fine. A good bench player. When he's not needed in a playoff series, that'll be okay. But when he's needed in the second quarter of a playoff series, he'll be all right. And then I guess the Magic will shout out. They got Tyus Jones as well, which is a good backup point guard for them. Um, Negative shout out to the Suns. If they sign, they're mark my words, they're gonna sign Devin Booker to a 2-year, 120 plus $1 million extension, and they're gonna be paying Devin Booker almost $70 million to be on the world's shittiest roster of all time. Um, I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of anything they've done this offseason. Maybe they expect more trades to come for them, but woof. Oh, also the Kings. Kings are in the same boat. That's another disgusting roster.
things are depressing.
They're so sad. They're forever the Kings. Like they're
They
the
were
East.
so fun too that one season,
Yes,
and now they're
yes.
just the Bulls.
They are the Bulls. That's another negative shout out. Great call there.
Yep.
Bulls. What are you doing, Bulls? They're just both of those teams are just we need the 14th seed. Or not the 14th seed. They're sorry, the 10 seed. We need the 10 seed to make the play-in game. That's all we're looking for here. Um yeah, I mean we could get into the depths of things, but nobody wants to hear my Toronto Raptors recap. I mean, we'll talk about the Wizards throughout. I think that they're going to be young and fun. Um but there's some more teams that we can get deep dive into once the preseason and stuff starts. I mean, there's already summer league on, man. This league never stops.
It's insane.
It
They're
really
trying the
is.
NFL book.
They are. They are trying the NFL book. But you know what the
Joke up the
NFL would never
calendar.
do? Have a massive star traded the day of the Super Bowl. That's all I
Yep,
gotta
that is
say.
true. Or the draft 3 days after the Super Bowl.
Yes. Yeah, they would
They
never do
milked the
that
draft
either.
for 2 months.
They milk that draft. The NFL just
Yeah,
loves milking the draft.
the
It's
combine.
oh yeah.
Uh, can't believe people watch the combine.
People go to it. They buy they buy.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
Oh. Oh, shout out Theo who knew. that Jonas Valanciunas was Lithuanian. Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Um, thank you
Valanciunas
all for
doesn't
listening.
sound Greek.
No, I mean I don't think so. What I
That sounded Greek.
Greece got to have like I guess Antetokounmpo is the only kind of Greek name that I could think of. It needs a lot more vowels, I think. Valanciunas has a lot of
Greek
vowels though. All the
names.
Europeans sound this like this is yeah, I'm trying to be I'm not trying to be racist over here, but I do think a lot of the European names sound the same. Like that he could be Russian, Valanciunas. He looks Russian
Valanciunas.
too. Yeah. I don't know.
Oh yeah, I guess it needs like a Y or a
Yeah.
Z in there.
Yeah. All right. Is that all we got?
That's I'm just looking at Greek names right now.
All
I
right.
can see that.
Thank you all for listening. We'll be back. We'll be back soon. Don't know when, but we'll be back soon.